Hi there, Stephanie here, your Philosophy BFF. Today I'm wondering, can machines truly understand what it means to be? Or are we just mistaking clever algorithms for genuine thought? Here is this thought experiment. Head over to ChatGPT and type in write a breakup love song. Now, imagine that song sung in an AI generated voice that sounds like, let's say, Adele. You'd probably feel a rush of emotions, right? But there's the kicker. Does the AI that crafted those lyrics feel anything at all? Let's dive into the world of AI and consciousness. And we'll explore insight from thinkers like Aristotle, Turing, Descartes, Searle, and Heidegger. You've probably heard an analogy that is used in the tech world, where the human brain is often compared to a computer because both process, store, and learn from information. Well, there, the brain uses neurons while the computer uses algorithms. Back in 1949, Professor Jefferson warned us against the mechanistic view that tends to anthropomorphize machines. If the human brain worked only with electrical processes, it might be easier for machines to copy it. But since it also relies on chemical processes, like neurotransmitters and hormones, reproducing an electrochemical machine that mimics biological processes is a tall order. Aristotle believed that all knowledge begins with sensory experience, and that idea has held strong over the centuries. So, what about machines? If nothing is in the mind that wasn't first sensed, could machines gain knowledge of their own one day? Well, Elon Musk with Neuralink is trying to bridge that gap. By connecting directly with the brain's neural and sensory systems, the company aims to enhance our understanding on how we process sensory experiences. And maybe this could allow machines to gain a form of sensory knowledge, blurring the lines between human and artificial cognition. So, now imagine machines that are traditionally. Now, let's imagine machines, which are traditionally seen as emotionless, right? That start developing emotional responses. Emotions are a core part of being human. If a brain interface captures our reactions to certain stimuli and translate that into data, could a machine equipped with sensors learn to recognize and analyze these as emotions? Somehow it's not that different from what a baby does. They have emotions and their parents put word into them and they start to recognize the emotions that they have. Well, imagine a humanoid robot that tracks its own internal states and begins to develop a sense of its own life. Well, at first it might show basic emotional responses, but over time, those could evolve into more complex feelings, right? Well, this raises the question, would we see this machine as merely imitating emotions? Or could it be creating a new understanding of sensory information? Well, there's Descartes, René Descartes, the French philosopher, that argued that consciousness requires something beyond the physical. What did he say? Well, what he believed is that consciousness, which is the fact of being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, well, that was something that was not physical. And actually, no one really knows where it is, where that happens. We know that we humans have that. Some animals, some birds, chimpanzees, dolphins, some animals show signs of consciousness. But where does this characteristic reside in the brain? Well, that's a question that has sparked debate for centuries. Well, he, Descartes, introduced the idea of dualism, where there is one side the body and the other side the mind. And both are fundamentally different. But what he believes is that the mind is non material, and that is where the consciousness lies. And on the other side, you have the body that operates through physical processes. So that's interesting because machines, which are, at least for now, being purely material, in the mind of Descartes, could definitely not possess a non material mind. But later, he introduced a nuance in his work, thanks to Elisabeth de Bohème, with whom he's been working. And he agreed that maybe actually mind and body were influencing each other. So it's not that dual anymore. Um, John Searle, in the 80s, challenged the notion that machines can possess a mind. He did that in an argument that was called the Chinese Room, where he invented a whole situation where what he wanted to illustrate is that even if a machine appears to understand Chinese because it processes symbols through algorithms, it actually lacks genuine comprehension of what he does, which is what online translators do right now. They manipulate symbols, but they don't have a true understanding of what they do. Interestingly, Martin Heidegger, he shifted the conversation from whatever machines could understand. And he said that that wasn't really what was interesting, because for him, understanding is totally intertwined with our existence. And understanding is being, necessitates being. Because machines might process information, but they lack what he thought was that they lack the existential depth that defines human life. And so, even though they can imitate thoughts, they fall short of true thinking, because true thinking for him is always rooted in our experience of being. In the 50s, Alan Turing, who's often regarded as the father of computer science, posed a question. He asked in an article, can machines think? And the interesting thing is that he said, I don't really think it's interesting to have this philosophical debate. What we should focus on is on practical assessments of intelligent behavior, whatever intelligent means. And so he introduced what he called the imitation game, and is now known as the Turing test, where if a human evaluator cannot reliably distinguish between a machine and a human based solely on responses, the machine passes the test. It's deemed intelligent. Well, so whatever intelligent means, if a machine passes the test for an intelligent behavior, what would you choose? A human or an intelligent machine? In high stakes environment like intensive care units where life and death decisions are made, should we trust rational machines or emotional humans? There are decision making softwares that are used in many, many, many industries, and health is one of them. And in those life and death decisions where human reasoning is intertwined with emotions in our decision making, um, there's this French doctor, Cyril Goulnock, who emphasizes that there is in his mind an essential burden of decision making that needs to be. As for him, if, well, machines are taking over decisions, it's not like whether we should have only a human or only a machine deciding. Anyway, it's a mixed thing. But since now machines begin to take over decisions, he believes that we must consider whether we truly want to relinquish our intuitive judgment that is um, very human, and keep deciding where they're choosing, where for him machines choose. They have rational choices that are based on mathematical calculations, and that is definitely what a human would do. And he believes that in life and death situations, it's important that the human keeps that decision that is highly subjective. Let's imagine that one day we build a machine that matches human thought and experience. Well, its perspective would inevitably differ from ours, right? Because, well, first, its cognitive abilities might surpass ours in areas like memory and calculation. And, well, it wouldn't experience the world as we do. AIs would share experiences among themselves, leading to a unique understanding of the world that's fundamentally different from ours. So even if we were able to recreate an equivalent human, the experiences of the world would be so different that we couldn't really compare them. And if we built a machine that generally possesses awareness, self awareness, consciousness, I'm not sure we could ever really be sure whether we did or not, since self awareness, in the human sense, involves subjective experience, which is inherently difficult to measure externally. So we'll never really know, I guess. And maybe the only thing that is worth about the whole thing is that, well, Emmanuel Levinas, another French philosopher, he suggested that there was a noble other, that the otherness is a big mystery, and that maybe truly advanced AI might possess an alterity that fundamentally resists our full comprehension and that challenges us to consider the ethical implications of creating entities with potentially inaccessible inner lives. So imagine a future where machines can convey sensory experiences directly to our brains. And if this were possible, would we perceive these sensations as real or just like dreams? Can blur the lines between reality and imagination. Could AI generated sensory input do the same? Um, who knows? Maybe we'll just have to wait and see. So the question, can ChatGPT think? Not right now, but in the future, who knows? Those who claim it's impossible, I believe, might be as misguided as those who once believed the Earth was the center of the universe. Maybe they're right, but truly, we don't know. No one knows. No one. And the real question I wonder is why we're developing AI. Is it merely for the sake of progress, to boost productivity, just because we can and we're curious? The motivations behind AI development are complex. Most of them are capitalistic, and the outcomes are difficult to predict. There's a little butterfly effect. So some people are worried, and well, we must confront our anxieties about AI. And maybe probably one of the reasons why we're anxious is that we might fear being overshadowed by the technologies we created. And Gunther Anders, another philosopher, he talked about what he called the Promethean shame from Prometheus, um, when we humans in the Greek mythology stole fire from the gods. And what he says is that it might reflect our discomfort to see technologies that we created but now surpass us and make us look so dumb and limited. What do you think? Do you think that AI could one day become self aware? Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, bye.